I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know about mixing in key as a DJ using the Camelot Wheel. And watch the whole video because I'm literally gonna dive into some things that'll make you a better mixer overnight. It's that easy. Now, what is the Camelot Wheel? It was invented by this guy named Mark Davis to solve one huge problem with DJs. And that is that most DJs aren't classically trained musicians. We don't know about scales and all that music theory and stuff. We just use our ears and mix what sounds good. So he came up with an idea. He took the circle of fifths, he moved it up 5 steps, and then he assigned 12 numbers all the way around to kind of make it like a clock, right? 12 on top, 6 on the bottom, and so on. The numbers correspond with the energy, and then the letters correspond with minor and major keys. So the A equals minor, the B equals major, and the numbers are basically assigned based on energy levels. That's what you need to know. Now, if you're like me, when I first heard about the whole energy thing, it didn't make sense in my head. Like, to me, energy was related to BPM. Like, the higher the BPM, the higher the energy. Like, what does key have to do with that? But there's some truth to it. I'll give you an example. So let's say you want to open up your wedding dance floor, but you didn't do a slow dance first. Everyone's still eating dinner, and basically you want to just get on the mic, invite everybody raw. Well, a great song that works for that is I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston. And that's because it starts out at a lower energy key and it transitions into a higher energy key. So early on, when you hear the drums and the verses and stuff, right, it's got lower energy, and that's in the key of 2A. But then when the chorus kicks in, it actually changes keys. It goes from 2A to 11B when the chorus hits. And that works great to start a dance floor out raw because you don't want to go to level 10 right away when you invite everybody out. There's still people sitting down at their tables. You know, grandma might choke on her mashed potatoes. Like, you want to start it here and have a song that kind of builds the energy up so people don't feel intimidated coming out, or it's just not too much. And on the flip side, let's say you start your wedding dance floor with a slow dance, right? Now you want to use a song that kind of starts out with high energy. Take September, for example. That song is at 11B the whole time. There's no low energy with that song, and that is one of the most used songs to open up a dance floor of all time. I mean, every DJ I know, including myself, use it. At least from time to time, if not every time. This is all just something to think about and to keep in the back of your head as a DJ. It's another aspect of song selection. Now back to the Camelot Wheel. So every section of the Camelot Wheel represents a key, and that key represents a scale. And a scale is essentially 7 different notes that sound nice together. Now when you think about these 7 notes, think about them on a piano. You know how a piano has like 88 keys, and there's 12 notes on a piano, and then it just repeats? So you have a high C, and then a low C, and so on, right? It goes around. Well, a scale is not only made of these 7 notes, but they're also these 7 notes in this exact position on the piano. So one scale might have a high G and another scale might have a low G, and it makes it different. Do you know what I mean? So where it's at on the piano matters. Just keep that in the back of your mind. So now let's talk about different ways to mix using the Camelot Wheel. And we're going to start with the obvious one, and that is mixing the same key together. So let's say it's 4A. You're going to mix another song with 4A. They're both the same exact key, the same exact notes, the same exact scale. They're going to sound beautiful together. Now the next way is keeping the number the same, but changing from A to B or B to A. So you're going from minor to major or major to minor. So for example, 4A to 4B. Now how this works is they both have the exact same notes. The only difference is if you look at it here, 4A takes the first 2 notes, F and G, and it basically moves those 2 notes to the end of the sequence. And that makes 4B. So literally the root, where it's at on the piano, is the only thing that's different. It still has the same 7 notes. So because of that, you can use this tonal shift, as they call it, in a variety of different ways. Long beat mixes, mashups. It's gonna sound pretty much good any way you do it because, again, they're using the exact same 7 notes, just in a different position on the piano. Now the next way is going 1 step up or 1 step down, right? So you keep the letter the same, but you just take a step up or a step down on the Camelot Wheel. So using 4A as an example again, you can go up to 5A or down to 3A. Now comparing the scales, the only difference between 4A and going up 1 step in either direction is 1 note. So 4A shares 6 out of 7 notes with 5A and 6 out of 7 notes with 3A. And because it's only 1 out of 7 off, it's gonna work great 95% of the time. With that being said, this is another combination that works great with mashups and long mixing and all that because there's not much difference between the two when you go up 1 step in either direction. Now the fourth example is going 1 up diagonal in either direction on the scale. So for example, you go from 4A up to 5B. So you're going up 1 number, but you're also going from minor to major major there. Now, just like the last example, going diagonal still works great for mixing because you're only going one in either direction. So the scales, if you look at them, it's still 6 out of 7 of the same notes. They're just in different parts of the piano, but they're gonna blend together great. And again, you can use these for mashups and long mixes and all that good stuff. And side note, there's always exceptions where there might be one song that happens to harp on the one note that's different between the two scales, you know, so it's 6 out of 7, but that 7th note is in that song crazy and it doesn't sound good together. So use your ears, of course, okay? There's gonna be that 5% that doesn't work, but generally speaking, all these one step up examples will work great for you. The next is rule of 7. It's one of my favorites. It's a lot of fun, but it's way different than the other ones. So essentially with the rule of 7 is you can go up 7 or back down 7 in any direction and make it work. And I'm gonna explain how. So let's use 4A as an example. So 4A, you can go up to 11A, right? 4 plus 7 equals 11, or you can go back counterclockwise. So it's 4A, 3A, 2A, 1, 12, 11, 10, and go to 9, right? So that's 7 away. When you compare the notes of each scale, there's only 2 notes in common between the two when you're making this jump. So why the rule of 7 works in some mixing situations is because you're going up a semitone. So it works good in succession, not together. So a semitone is basically going from one note to another. Essentially, think of each note as a song, right? This is your first song, and this is your second song. So when you mix using the rule of 7, you're going from this note to this note in succession. So it kind of sounds good, right? But if you play them both at the same time, if you beat mix these two songs together, it's gonna sound terrible. So with that being said, when you're using the rule of 7, if you're jumping from 4A to 11A, you can't really beat mix that. You can't mash that up. It's gonna sound bad. You know, at the end of the day, there's only 2 notes that those two scales have in common. But you can drop it on the 1 and it sounds fantastic. In succession, back to back, not together. That's how you use the rule of 7, people. And the last semi-safe way is to jump 2 in either direction. So if you're at 4A, you go down to 2A or up to 6A. Now by doing this, if you compare the two scales, like if you compare 4A to 6A, you'll notice that 5 out of the 7 notes are the same. So they're mostly the same, but there's 2 notes that are off this time. So there's a little more risk involved. Now, this works a lot of the time though, because a lot of the hit songs and stuff kind of just are with 4 or 5 notes. So there's not a lot of songs that incorporate all 7 notes of the scale, like especially the pop hits and all that. So you're gonna get away with it a lot with certain songs. Use your ears, of course, but if they're only using 3, 4, 5 notes out of the scale, then it's pretty much gonna sound the same and sound like they're in the same technical scale, and it's gonna blend together and work together really well. Now, the way you use all these techniques has to do with your style. Definitely use all the rules I just talked about. But for me personally, the way I do it is I basically think of it like this. Obviously, the same key is gonna work, and then 1 in either direction of any note's gonna work all day. And then I constantly use the rule of 7 to jump energy, to jump different places. Because when I mix, I try and really have a variety, right? So I'm constantly rotating BPMs and rotating keys. And that gives some ebb and flow to my dance sets. I'm very open format, and when you mix open format, you gotta have ebb and flow. You can't keep people at a 10 the whole time. You wanna bring down the energy and then bring it back up. Like bringing the energy down in a dance set gives people time to breathe, and it gives you more longevity in that dance set. The perfect example for this is you bring in a T-Pain, okay? Buy You a Drink, any of those songs. They're all generally in 1A or 2A. Very low energy, but they're sing-alongs. Everybody loves them, and it's a way to kind of just, you can still sway and dance to it and sing along, but you're catching your breath. You're not jumping up and down and like hitting the craziest 2-step of your life. Does that make sense? I don't know. If it doesn't, let me know in the comments.